Hello everyone, back again with Story Recap. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the drama film from 2014, title, The Cobbler. Before we get to storyline, I wish all happy and great day. The film begins in New York City in the year 1903 with a man named Ben talking to his son. Ben was working as a cobbler, and there was a manual sewing machine for shoes, and it looked strange and old. One day, his son enters the shop and sees the sewing machine and asks him about it. His father tells him that he took it from his grandfather and that it is very special to him because it is not just a sewing machine. He told his son that previously, a poor man had come and asked his grandfather for help. His grandfather actually helped him, provided him with food and drink, and allowed him to sleep in his place. The next day, when the man left, his grandfather found the sewing machine that the poor man had left for him. Since that time, their family became interested in the sewing machine. Finally, he told his son that the sewing machine would be his one day. Years later, we see a young man named Max, Ben's grandson. Max was a respectable and kind man and also worked as a cobbler. He is on his way to go to his store. It was clear that Max was unhappy with his job. He wanted to chase his dreams and goals. His neighbor named Jimmy talks to Max and asks him why he is not happy. Max tells him he doesn't want to be a cobbler, but Jimmy told him that he should be proud of this profession because it is not as bad as he thinks. But Max didn't like what Jimmy said and entered the store. After that, a girl named Carmen enters the store. She tells Max that she is a member of the neighborhood committee and wants to talk to the store owner because of a serious problem. He told her that he was the owner of the store, so she started explaining the problem to him. She told him that there is a company trying to buy real estate in this neighborhood in order to build houses for the rich. The company has its own methods to persuade real estate owners to sell their properties. So she was trying to stand up to this company, but she needed everyone's help. But Max was not interested in what she said and did not care whether he would sell his shop or not. But despite that, he pretended to her that he was interested. At night, he returns home to take care of his mother. His mother was an elderly woman with Alzheimer's. The next day, a client named Leon, who was a famous criminal and gangster in the neighborhood, comes to him. He gave his shoes to Max so he could change the soles for him. He told him that he had an event at night and he wanted to wear his shoes. Once he got out, Max got to work because he knew Leon was a dangerous man and he didn't want to get into trouble with him. But suddenly, the shoe sewing machine he was working on broke down, so he called maintenance directly, but they told him that they would come to him tomorrow. So he had no choice but to use the manual shoe sewing machine he inherited from his family. He actually uses the machine to work on Leon's shoes. He kept waiting for Leon to get his shoes, but Leon was late in coming, so Max, out of boredom, decided to wear shoes. But the surprising thing is that when he put on the shoes, he turned into Leon. He was shocked by that. After that, he decided to put the shoes back on. Also, when he put on the shoes, he transformed into Leon. He concluded that the manual shoe sewing machine was the reason for this. He decided to take some shoes from the store and use a manual sewing machine. Indeed, with every shoe he wears, he turns into the character of the shoe owner. He continued all night wearing his client's shoes. The next day, he decided to take advantage of this by going outside with different personalities. After that, he saw a man driving a modern car, so he put on Leon's shoes and transformed into his character and went to the man who was driving the car and stole his shoes. After that, we see him driving the car after his personality turns into that of the car owner. After that, he returns home and talks to his mother and asks her about her wish. She told her that she would like to have dinner with her husband. He was affected by this because his father had abandoned them previously. After his mother suffered from Alzheimer's, she does not remember it, but despite that, he decided to fulfill this wish for his mother. So he went and put on his father's shoes and transformed into his character. He comes home and talks to his mother and spends time with her. His mother was very happy about that. The next day, Max went to wake his mother up, but surprisingly, his mother had died. After several days had passed, Leon came to him, and he was angry because he had been coming to him all the previous days to get his shoes, but he found the store closed. Max apologizes to him and tells him that his mother has died, but Leon was not interested and started demanding that he give him his shoes. Max asked him to give him the shoe receipt card first, but Leon told him he didn't have the receipt card, so Max tells him that he won't give him the shoes because those are the rules of the store. Leon gets angry, but he decides to leave him today and will return to him tomorrow to get his shoes because of his mother's death. Max decided to keep an eye on Leon and learn everything about him. and began to disguise himself as different characters to perform this mission. He already knows where he lives. Then he puts on Leon's shoes and goes to his apartment. He started searching inside the apartment and found a box full of weapons. He decided to leave the apartment, but to his surprise, he saw Leon in front of him. Leon begins to attack him, but Max pulls out a taser and electrocutes Leon, knocking him unconscious. When Leon regained consciousness, he found himself handcuffed and a boy in front of him. In fact, he is Max, but he is disguised as this character. Max didn't know what to do with Leon. After that, 2 of Leon's men came to the apartment. Max finds out that Leon is supposed to go with them to receive $50,000. Max decided to take Leon's role and go with them to collect the money. Indeed, he wore Leon's shoes and disguised himself as himself. He went with them to the place to receive the money, but they told him that they had prepared a surprise for him. They took him to a place where a man was tied up and beat him while they wanted to kill him. But Max knew nothing about what was happening and refused to let them kill him. He asked them to let this man leave. Leon's men were surprised by this, but they carried out his orders. After that, he went to receive the money. He took the money from a rich woman, Elaine. She told him that she wanted him to finish the job by the end of the week. He agreed without knowing what his mission was. He returns to Leon's apartment with the money, but is surprised that Leon has untied him and points a gun at him. The two get into a fight. Max was wearing high-heeled shoes and hit Leon with them, killing him. Max felt terrified and left the place. The next day, he decided to go to the police station to surrender himself, but when he told the police his story, they were not convinced and did not believe him. In order to confirm his words, they decided to go with him to Leon's apartment to confirm the presence of the body. But the surprise was that they did not find any body in the apartment, nor did they find the bag that contained the money. Max was going crazy. He does not know how the apartment is clean and does not contain traces of the murder. The officers leave and leave the apartment. When Max returns, he is surprised to find the high heels with which he killed Leon are in the store. He also found the bag containing the money. He didn't know who the person was doing all this, and he didn't do this. He decided to stop all of this and return the money to Eileen. Jimmy talked to him and told him that he had been behaving strangely since his mother died and that he was not interested in his profession. Jimmy wanted to advise him because he knows what this will lead to, and this is because Max's father was behaving in the same way before he disappeared. He told him that his father did not abandon him and his mother, as he thought, but rather his father was involved in major problems with dangerous criminals. So he was forced to hide from the world in order to make them believe that he died so that the criminals would not harm Max and his mother. Max gets angry with Jimmy and hits him because he knew this truth and did not tell him about it. But Max's father was the one who asked Jimmy not to tell them this. Max disguises himself as a woman and meets Eileen and tells her that Leon sent him to return the money to her because he can no longer carry out the mission. Eileen tells him that every withdrawal has consequences. She asked her men to beat Max. Max wakes up in a car with Eileen's men in it. He overheard their conversation and discovered that Eileen was the director of the company that intended to buy neighborhood real estate. Elaine forces people to leave their properties by force, threats, and murder. He also heard them talking about an old person who refuses to sell his apartment to them, and because of that, they want to set the building on fire in order to force him to sell it. Max wears someone else's shoes, disguises himself as a dead person, and terrorizes men who have been in a car accident. Then he left the car and fled the scene. The next day, he went and apologized to Jimmy for what he had done earlier. Jimmy also apologized to him for not telling him about it for years. After that, Max sees the paper that Carmen gave him earlier. He remembered what Aileen's men were talking about, so he quickly went to tell Carmen about it. He actually told her that. She was not convinced by what he told her because she did not know where he learned all this information from. But she decided to believe him and go with him to the old man to warn him. They told him that, and he assured them that he would not sell his apartment even if they burned the entire building. So, Max decides to act to save the man. He decided to disguise himself as the old man and go to meet Eileen. He told her that he would sell his apartment for $100,000 and a ticket to Chicago. Indeed, the next day, 2 of Eileen's men go to meet Max, who is disguised as the old man. They gave him money and a ticket. He actually told them that he was leaving tomorrow and that the apartment would be theirs. But after a few days, Eileen discovered that the old man still lived in the apartment. So she went and told him that they had an agreement, but he told her that he would not leave the apartment. She threatens to kill him and tells him that she will burn the apartment. But Max, who is disguised as the old man, tells her that everything she said was being shown on the live broadcast because there were reporters for major channels hiding inside the apartment. The reporter told Eileen that she would be arrested because of the explicit threats she made. Thus, Max was able to save the neighborhood from Elaine and her dangerous intentions. The next day, Carmen came to him and thanked him for his help because he saved the entire neighborhood. She gave him her phone number and invited him out on a date this weekend. He agreed to it and was happy about it because he liked her and she also liked him. At night, Max disguises himself as Leon in order to return all the things that Leon has been stealing from people, but as he leaves, he is kidnapped by the person Leon's men were about to kill. This man wanted to kill Leon, but a speeding car came at the last moment and collided with them. Max wakes up to find himself in front of Jimmy in the store. He was shocked and did not know what was happening and asked Jimmy to explain it to him. Jimmy takes off his shoes and we discover that he is Max's father and that he was disguised as someone named Jimmy. He told him that he was forced to hide and that this was the best way to hide from the gangs and also to protect and help his son. Max hugs his father and is happy. His father took him after that and showed him all the shoes he owned from different countries of the world. He told him that all this treasure was his and that he should use this ability for good deeds.